Let's jump into lesson 2. Discomfort can fuel success.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I know for me growing up, there wasn't a backstop, right? I had to operate, and I think you said this the same thing, that I had to recognize that the difficult situation I was in, there wasn't necessarily a safety net.
Yeah.
There wasn't something there that was going to catch me. And so the discomfort of being in that situation and wanting to get out of that situation was fuel for me not to screw things up, right? And I think you said you had a very similar experience that like, there's a reason you kept working hard to continue moving forward.
Yeah, I have found that growing up broke can actually be the glue for perseverance, meaning that you know that there's no other way out of this.
Yep.
So you stick with it longer than somebody who probably comes from means might have a little easier opportunity to just give it up. You know, because why stick with this? So, and I'll share later because I know I want to lean into some of your background stories, but I found fear to be an extremely powerful motivator to keep doing things that you don't really want to be doing. And that's a big part of success, is doing things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, as a young kid, I knew that where I was not where I wanted to stay, but there was no one behind me like pushing me in that direction. Like if I didn't do my homework, there was no one checking my book bag to make sure that my homework got done.
Right.
If I would have gotten in trouble at school and had to go to the principal's office, there was no parent that was going to like show up to sit in the principal's office and either defend me or bail me out. And so I recognized, man, I better like do what I'm supposed to do the way that I'm supposed to do, because it's kind of all on me. Well, one of the natural consequences of doing that is I was given a little more freedom. I was given like more leadership opportunities on sports teams and academia. I was able to choose like a different route to go because I was able to excel early on. Well, then I started getting motivated by that positive affirmation, by this idea of, oh man, if I put in that little bit extra, if I make slightly better grades, if I work a little bit harder, if I practice a little bit more, if I fill in the blank to try to change my circumstance, I started getting like accolades and recognized for that. And that was a high that as a kid, I did not want to let go of. And it allowed me to continue to be a positive reinforcement. So I had these two dual things happening: the positive reinforcement of like fruits of my labor working, and also this very real realization that if I don't do this, if I do not succeed, then it's not going to work. Like I must succeed or else. Literally, it was up to me to make sure that I didn't fall into some of the traps that some of my peers or other family members fell into.
I love that, because you essentially, the buck stopped with you.
That was it.
On everything. And that leads to, because the whole thing, discomfort can fuel success. I know for me, when I started my first business, I made some mistakes in the beginning, is that I had like super clean financial statements because I had the skill set of, I was an accountant and a CPA background. So that was what was comfortable and easy. But then I realized what was actually going to feed my family was I had to go get clients. And for, I know I come off as outgoing to you guys, but most people, I still have the trappings of a CPA, whereas there is some shyness with me. I don't like to go out there and glad hand with a lot of people. I definitely don't want to cold call. I don't want to go solicit and try to do sales. But when you're broke, you get hungry.
That's it.
And fear can be a very powerful motivator. And it led me to do all the uncomfortable stuff that I didn't want to do, is that I would go to neighborhood or community things and do all the uncomfortable stuff of meeting people, telling them what I did for a living, even though I hated the ickiness of feeling like a salesman. It is what was going to pay the bills. And I look at that as that if I wasn't broke, I probably would have bailed out of some of those behaviors much sooner, and I couldn't fail. I just knew that it was kind of back to you have no backstop, so the buck stops with you, and you're either going to figure out how you make it happen, or you just fall off into failure. And that was just something that I think the perseverance of the situation, I really do attribute it to that I had no other option.
I love it.
It was like ride or die was what was going to happen. So that's what our takeaway is that I would encourage people, challenge yourself through the discomfort. Because I know that because I talk about the incremental changes, that a small decision today can have dramatic impacts in your long-term success and help you create that great, beautiful tomorrow. And I don't want people to get so comfortable that you avoid taking any action or procrastinate, because I think that's another part of the human condition.
Well, and you don't want to be absolutely riddled with fear, but a healthy amount of fear can be motivating. I mean, you said this, Brian, when you started your business, it was, hey, if I do not generate revenue, my family does not eat. That is a fear, but that's a positive motivational fear. So figure out what are the things and where should that fear exist, and how can you repackage it to be something that moves you in the right direction, not something that causes you to like constantly be anxious and constantly be afraid, but also not be, you said it perfectly, not be so comfortable and so content that you don't actually make those small changes, that you don't actually make those little tweaks that can have huge lasting impacts.
Well, I feel like a lot of people, you focus only on what you're good at. But, you've got to go work out those muscles that you're not so good at initially so that they can actually get stronger. I mean, and that's the big thing that I think we always lean into, what's easy, what we're good at, but you might need to lean into the stuff that's hard so you can become a better version of yourself in the future. I also found that, realizing that if I was going to build my dreams, that I had to kind of pick myself up and make it happen. And then adding, and this is something I tell now that I've tried to do with my family, is now that I have resources and I've seen the struggles of families that we work with that have resources, I've tried to add a lot of scarcity in my kids' life on things. Is I don't want to rob my children of the aha moment or the hunger for certain things in life. So that's like my oldest daughter. I made her pay for half of her first car.
Love it.
So that means that her car, and this is something I haven't debated, but I just kind of smile when I talk to my neighbors. Yes, it's true that now the latest and greatest cars have some of these safety protocols that would make the car safer, but I wanted the life experience to hopefully make her safer or more skilled in how to navigate life. So yeah, she drove a clunker, essentially, a 12, 14-year-old car that costs $4,000 or $5,000. This is pre-2020, so I mean, y'all bear with me on that. But it is important to build those scarcity moments, and then also, because what does Millionaire Next Door talk about? Try to keep economic outpatient care, meaning giving money to your adult children, to a minimum, because if they don't learn how to do things themselves, they're going to struggle.
I think, Brian, you would agree with the statement that for us growing up, scarcity was a given. Like it wasn't a choice that we had to make. It was just natural. We did not have things. In this situation, in this circumstance of life, we have to kind of create scarcity for our kids. Again, my kids are significantly younger than yours. I have to remind them constantly, hey, no, you didn't take care of that thing. We're not just going to go buy another one. Like you did not take care of it. Now you can't have that thing. Even though we could afford to go replace it, they need to learn that skill set. They need to have that aha moment that, man, okay, if I work for something, then I can have something. And if I want to keep something, I need to take care of that thing. These are lessons that the earlier you can instill that in your kids, the more likely they are not to become part of that statistic that says, okay, 70% burns through it, then 90% burns through it. If they can learn it very early on, there's a really good chance that you're going to set them up for better long-term lifetime success.